Good evening, everyone. How the devil are you? Hope everyone is well this rather sunny Friday evening. It's been one of those days here in Redcar where, the old saying goes, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. It's been hailstones, it's been snow, it's been sleet, it's been bright sunshine, it's been gale force winds, sometimes all at the same time. But you know what? It's just, we'll deal with it. Anyway, it's Friday. It's rolled around again. Yes, indeed. The beer is cold. The beer is poured. The curry is on its way. And you've all come to see a fat, bald northern lad talk crap for an hour. And no idea what I'm going to talk about as per usual. I'm relying on what goes on in the chat to keep me going. And I'm relying on something else to keep me going as well. Excuse me while I just take care of some urgent matters. Dear me, there we go. This evening I shall be mostly on the Heineken. And as ever, let's be predictable and scroll all the way up to the chat. Dear me, you people have been very talkative since I put the stream up. Wilson Jones is the first one, and then we have Danny Hancock and Johnny H and David Evans. David, I shall be listening to some of your tunes over the weekend, mate. Then Dr. Gomez, Johnny H, Craig Stamen, how are you, mate? Vincent Doyle, Luke's in, and Anton and John Ross and Grandpa Joe and Budget Guitar Show. Oh, I'm going to put you up on the screen there, Johnny. Says, hi, John Robson, guitarist, you're a legend. I don't know about that, mate. A leg end, maybe. But, yes, we'll be talking about you a little bit later on, Johnny. Then we've got Vincent Brennan, Pablo Hank, Lawrence Hastings, and Paul Traynor, the resident bass player, Cal B, and Chip Young, and Edwin Toonan. Not on the 55-inch TV tonight, only on my laptop. Sorry, mate. Yes, well, as I've explained to you once or twice before, this face wasn't made for 4K resolution. Johnny Random's in, Ian Clark, Chip Young, have I said you already? Peter Collins, and who else we got? Green Wave, I don't mind having a beer with you at 11 a.m. Yeah, that's Christmas Day is the only day I get away with a beer that early in the day. I might push it for Easter this year. Phil is in, and James Hunt. Michael Dodds, how are you, Michael? Ian Rouse, Chris Ottewell. Chris, I think it was you, wasn't it? You sent me a guitar, didn't you? It's behind me on the couch. That's going to be getting reviewed very soon, well, in the next few weeks anyway. I'll be making the video very soon, but I tend to make these videos at least a couple of weeks in advance. David Collins, Nigel Arthur, and Marco, Kieran Roberts. Also we got the Essex Cat. And scrolling down, Dave Lewis, Colin Falcon, Billy Paul, Michael Palmer, nice to see you, Michael. Martin, is it Scholes or Scholes? I do apologise if whichever one of those I got wrong. Simon M. and David Collins, Brad Matthews, Dave Pegg, and who else we got? Lee Harris, Steve Hoggartson, my mate Steve. How are you, mate? And where are we? Christopher Calling, yes, all basically the usual crew. Right, better tell you what's coming up on the channel this week. First of all, if I sound a bit stuffed up and croaky, don't worry. I'm in rude health. I haven't got any kind of dreaded lurgy or anything like that. It's just that you could literally walk down the street with your mouth open today and chew lumps of pollen for your lunch. And I'm suffering a bit from that, so hence the slight nasal quality to my voice. But I think beer might be the solution. We certainly worth a try anyway. Anyway, coming up on the channel this week, no video tomorrow, as is normal. But then on Sunday, if you haven't already seen Johnny from Budget Guitar Show, his video where basically I just had a little bit of a tinkle on one of his songs, put a guitar solo on one of his songs. I tell you what, I've got the link here handy. Let me just drop that into the chat. There we go. There's the link to Johnny's video for a fantastic kind of raucous little bit of punk, kind of enjoyment called She's the Disease. And he asked me to play a solo on it. Yes, me playing punk. Imagine that. So I'll give it a go, and you'll see his the result on his video. And on Sunday, it's sort of my side of the story, how I came up with the solo, what I did basically, and what's going on in there. A little bit of a lesson. There's a tab and all the usual sort of stuff. Then on Monday, we are looking at what could arguably be described the most historically significant guitar solo ever played. Electric guitar solo, anyway. I won't do the usual cryptic sort of teaser thing when we're talking about which guitar solo it is and who's it by. Basically, we're going right the way back to the 1930s, and we're looking at a Charlie Christian solo from his work with the Benny Goodman Orchestra. And already, I know, I'm avoiding saying that word here, which is spelled Jazz, because I know as soon as I put that up in a video, it's like, okay, right, well, that's the number of views cut by 2/3. But it's a good solo, and I just thought it was a good one to document, so I've done that on Monday. Then on Tuesday, it's a top 5, as is usual, and we're looking at, again, it's another one of these most influential, most iconic kind of things we've done. Last week it was iconic and influential female guitar players. We've done iconic and influential guitarists and bass players with my pal Mr. Hoggart there. We've done iconic and influential guitars. Well, it's about time we looked at iconic and influential amplifiers. So that's Tuesday's video. Then on Wednesday, it is the final installment of the Blues Rhythm Guitar series we've been looking at, where basically we're putting it all together and looking at all of the elements that we've looked at so far in that series on Blues Rhythm Guitar. Thursday is the review of this fine beast, the Epiphone Standard 60s SG. A guitar that was bought as livestock but has become a family pet. And I'm going to have to stop doing that. I really am. I need to turn some of these guitars around and get them out the door so I'm not depleting the guitar fund too much. So that's Thursday's video. Then Friday, well, you know what happens on a Friday. We're doing it now. We're back on the beer. So there we go. Excuse me. I've been talking for far too long without any lubrication. Yes, I see Chip Young's there saying that the plexi has to be in that amp video. Well, can you imagine doing a video on classic amplifiers that didn't include the Marshall plexi? Or the 1959 Super Lead, to give it its official designation. The thing is, when I do these top 5 videos, like, when I do like the last week, the 5 iconic, influential female guitar players, it was like I could have done a list of 25 and there would have still been people saying, well, you missed this person off and you missed that person off. What's going wrong? Like I got a lot of, I copped a lot of flack on that video for not mentioning Ann Wilson. And, thing is, am I the only person who just basically suddenly in the mid 80s or mid to late 80s, suddenly there was this band of from Canada called Heart, who were doing these kind of schmaltzy power ballads, and that's all I really kind of knew of them. I had no idea of the body of work that they did before that, Barracuda and all that sort of stuff. I since discovered it, but excuse me, pollen. It's, I just never they were never really on my radar. So I think because they didn't make like a massive impression on me, I just never really, I don't know, the name wasn't on the radar. That's why she didn't end up on the list. But, when I'm talking about this amp video, I will guarantee that, there'll be people who saying, oh, you missed this one off and you missed that one off, but it's like when you narrow it down to 5, inevitably you have to cut out, you have to be brutal with the, with a cutting room floor kind of thing. You've got to kind of leave out some fairly strong candidates, because there are stronger candidates to go in. Lee Harris, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Well, let's put you up on the screen there. Thank you so much. You advised me last week to buy a Sire over an American telly, and I did so. Wow, the Sire T7 FM is pure luxury. Here's another super chat to say thanks. Well, thank you, mate. Yeah. Not giving too much away, but there may be a Sire T7 coming up on the channel sometime soon. I tell you, the only thing that stopped me pulling the trigger on one of those Larry Carlton Telecasters is because I need to buy guitars that I can review, make videos on, like the way it goes. I make a video where I'm shopping for the guitar. I make an unboxing video. I do like a full shakedown and kind of review with a thing in like a track, and then I'll do usually some sort of comparison video, and then maybe squeeze another video out. So I'm getting 5 videos out of the one piece of kit. It earns its keep. I move it on and hopefully make a profit when you take the ad revenue into account from the videos. The last, the thing is, the Epiphone, the SG there, that was what I was going to do with that, and I've kept it. The Sire Larry Carlton 335 thing back there, same thing with that. The Harley Benton that you can see back there, the single cut, did the same with that. The Sire S7, I did the same with that. I kept that one, the Yamaha Pacifica 311. I kept that. I need to stop buying guitars that I like so much because I want to be able to kind of, it's like, I'm like that. I'm like that kid who finds a stray dog and takes it home, and it's like, can we keep it? Can we keep it? Can we keep it? I've got to learn to kind of buy guitars that I don't mind selling. Let's see what I've had missed in the chat. Where we go. Budget Guitar Show, Johnny saying our collab is going well. Well, I'm glad to hear it, mate. Surely the top 5 amps will include the AC30. Well, again, I don't want to give too much away, but it's like, yeah, how could you not? And who was it? Pablo Hank, where were you? I've just missed you there. Can't find you now, mate. But yeah, you were saying that me and Steve Hoggett were brutal on the influential guitarists, video where we didn't mention Hendrix. Yeah. I don't know how that slipped our minds because it was just, I don't know, file that under, kind of a collective brain fart between me and Steve. I don't know why that just didn't, wasn't an obvious name on the list. I think the thing is, when you're putting a list like this together, you're trying to think of the clever ones. You're trying to think of the ones that people go, oh yeah, I never thought of that. And when you're kind of thinking along those lines, it's all too often, all too easy rather, to trip over your own feet and miss the obvious, which, yeah, I'll hold my hands up and say, yes, we did on that one. Edwin Toonan, yes. I recognise your guitar collection problem. My wife says I have too many guitars. My problem is we need to buy a bigger house. Yeah, well, the thing is, at least I've got the justification. Oh, yes, dear, but it's for work. and I get the sort of sideways look then. Yeah, really? Okay. So... oh, Johnny's watching us in the pub. Dave Lewis is saying he ordered his 5th Larry Carlton this week. Yeah, this is it. I mean, I know, for instance, that I'm not going to name names, but there is one chap in the chat who is not fortunate enough to be in the position where he can treat himself to new guitars at the moment. And I don't want to sound like, you know, we're being too smug about this. The fact of the matter is that for me it's work. It genuinely is. You know, as I've said, I buy the guitar, I review it, make money from the reviews, and then sell it on and hopefully make a profit. It is very, and I'm speaking honestly now here without any flippancy. The only reason I'm in a position where I can do this is thanks to the likes of you chaps who, you know, watch my videos and click the like button and help me in the algorithm. And, you know, many of you are my Patreon supporters. And, you know, it's thanks to you that I'm in this very fortunate position where I'm able to indulge my hobby, which is also my living, to the extent that I can. And I want to say a huge heartfelt thank you to everybody, whether you're one of my Patreon supporters, and a special thank you. But even if you just watch the videos, and you know that all puts money into the ad revenue pot that helps keep the lights on around here and keep me in the style to which I've become accustomed. And if you are, you know, suffering and hurting a little bit at the moment financially, which I know many people are, given that, you know, all of the bills and prices and stuff that have gone up today. I've been there. Go back 5 years, you know, we were on the verge of losing everything, the roof over our head and everything. And the one thing I found out is that there is always a way through, because we found it. And you know, I'm just feel incredibly blessed and grateful to be in the position that I'm in. Anyway, before I start getting I'm talking really maudlin now for somebody who's only had, you know, 1 and a bit pints. So excuse me while I just top up a little bit. What's that, Dave? If you're writing a solo, do you ever run out of ideas? If so, how do you fix it? I don't tend to. I do sort of sometimes write a solo, compose it in advance. It's not so much I do that. I just have certain key points in the solo where I think, okay, that's a big structural moment in the tune where I need to do something that kind of signposts that. And I'll maybe kind of plot those kind of things out. But I'm usually just kind of winging it because, I don't know, maybe that's the lazy way, because for me, that's the easy way of doing it. You know, it's for me, winging it is easier than swatting up in advance and then having to remember a load of stuff. But I've done videos in the past about, you know, how to, you know, kind of keep coming up with licks. The thing that you shouldn't do, I find, and this is just what works for me, okay? But the thing that you shouldn't do is just memorize a load of licks and then kind of trot them out one after another in a way that, like, okay, like, so you're running down a checklist of this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, and this one. Because at that point, you if you take that approach, you will run out of ideas. You know, the way I like to do it, the way I like to play a solo is I'm always listening as well as playing. I'm thinking about things, okay, right, so I've got that chord coming up in the next bar, so I need to land on a strong note from that chord and all that sort of technical stuff. But in terms of the phrasing, I'm just listening to what I'm doing and thinking, okay, yeah, so what would sound good as a response to that, and shall I play that lick again? Shall I play that lick again with a slightly different ending? Shall I play that lick again an octave higher? Shall I just kind of change the timing of it a little bit, leave a pause in the middle or something like that? I'm always kind of just listening and reacting like that. So it's not a case of, just using up a finite number of resources. It's the next lick usually, and we all have off days where it doesn't kind of work, but usually the next lick always tends to suggest itself. And if my fingers are cooperating, which they don't always do, but if they are, then I can usually kind of find it and find the lick, and then, that sparks off something else. It's like a chain reaction, really, when I'm playing. That's the way I tend to see it, anyway. Where are we? Let's see what I've been missing in the chat. H. Garcia is in. I do believe that is Leon, one of my students. Nice to see you, mate. Marco's saying, I bought a Larry Carlton the other week and it came with some dirty brown stains on the upper inlays. I decided not to send it back because it plays great. I'm looking at into cleaning products, though. Yeah. Who else got a Larry Carlton that was like that? I think it was, I wish I knew his name, but I can't remember it. But you know the guy from the Guitaristas channel. I think he did the review of the Larry Carlton Les Paul. I think he did the gold top, and it came and it was like it had 5 strings, and kind of one of them had snapped and the other 5 were rusty, and it wasn't in particularly good condition when he got it. So So I've heard a couple of stories like that, but all I can say is, I mean, I've got 2. I've got the S7, the HSS Strat style guitar, which every time I pick it up, I think, yeah, I could be a Strat player again in a heartbeat with that guitar. And the H7, that 335 thing back there, and they both just turned up absolutely immaculate, boutique guitars for essentially for Epiphone money, really. Yeah, Guitaristas is a dude. Yeah, I do love his channel. He looks to me, and I'm just in. I'd love to get him on here and have a chat with him. Actually, but I'd love to know his backstory. But for me, he looks like the kind of bloke who, has been roadieing and a guitar tech for, kind of rock bands since about 1977. Do you know what I mean? He's got that look about him that it's like he's a dyed in the wool kind of classic rock guitar dude, and he's sort of like with the way he tends to concentrate on SGs and Les Pauls and stuff like that, or guitars of that nature. He's very much in the Trogley mold, isn't he? Just who I also I'm addicted to his channel when I get a chance to watch him, which isn't very often at the moment. That is the thing. It's if a YouTube video is longer than about 10 or 15 minutes, I'm like, have I got time to watch that? Because I hate not being able to watch a video all the way through and having to try and pick it up again later. So, mind you, Guitaristas, his videos are usually about an hour long, aren't they? So, and it's not very often I get a chance to watch his all the way through. Paul Jameson, I think Guitarista's guy's name is Colin. Okay, that's nice to know. Where are we? Let's scroll up and see what I've been missing again. Oh, I see we've got Dan in from Scott Guitars. He sent me a nice little gift today. A nice little Telecaster badge, which is currently residing on the lapel of my outdoor coat. Anton saying, do you record your solo ideas so as not to forget the best ones? Not really, mate. What I'll do is, if I'm in the dim and distant past when I used to record albums, what was the last album? I think about 2017, about 5 years ago. I did. What was the last album? Handles for Folks. I would sort of do a rough kind of demo with basically a chord sequence and an idea for a melody over the top, if it was like a structured melodic thing. But no, as I say, I just tend to wing it when I'm doing a guitar solo. It's like, okay, like when I'm doing the demo kind of things for like a guitar, it's I tend to try and structure them like mini songs, where there's a verse section and a chorus section. And you'll probably have noticed that there's a similarity between many of them, where there's a crunchy power chord riff to show off that kind of sound. There's a high gain lead part. There's some clean strummy parts, and there's a clean lead guitar part. That's sort of a formula that I've come up with that can sort of showcase the different tones that a guitar can produce. And I'll sort of have a bit of an idea for like any of the melodies, but if you listen closely to those kind of things, it's like there'll be verse 1 where I'll stick to a melody, verse 2, I've kind of forgotten what the melody was a little bit, so I'll just kind of wing it, and by the time I get to verse 3, it's like, it went something a bit like that, I think, and I just kind of noodle around and hope it sounds like I'm kind of doing a variation on a theme, where really all I'm doing is trying to remember what the hell it was I played a few bars ago. Johnny's asking, when's your solo video coming up? Friday, 5 p.m. Get so used to saying Friday, 5 p.m. UK time. Sunday, 5 p.m. UK time. It's going up, and there'll be a link to your channel in the description, Johnny. Thank you once again for inviting me to play on your song. It's I was a little bit, I agreed to do it, and then I thought, what have I done? Because it's like, punk isn't really a style of music that I'm well versed in. I've kind of had all the kind of Clash and UK Subs and Pistols stuff back in the 70s and early 80s, but it's like, it's not a style of music I've ever really played, not for many a year. And thank you for trusting me to do what I did on it. And I hope it just wasn't too kind of twiddly fiddly for the genre. I hope I didn't kind of spoil your song. You seem quite happy with it though, so I'm pleased with that. Anyway, excuse me, I just need to top up my my vape. We'll just do this, and there we go, and we're all good to go again. Cal B saying punk is high energy rock and roll. Yeah, it is. It's just that I tend to get a little bit carried away and get a little bit too fiddly sometimes, and I just know that doesn't really often suit that genre. What are you saying, Dave? Colin was moaning about getting rusty strings on his Larry Carlton from Anderton's. I've ordered mine from Germany because they're 90 quid cheaper and in stock. Oh, good for you, mate. Well, yeah, I just been on the Toeman website, and the Larry Carlton I wanted from there was sadly out of stock. I'll keep an eye on it, but there's a few bits and pieces I'm kind of considering purchasing at the moment. One is two of them are guitars, and one of them is an effects pedal. It's, I'm thinking about one of these Nux. I think it's pronounced Nux. It's spelled Nux. I'll never quite know whether it's Nux or Nux. One of those pedals that I think our friend in the chat, Mr. Toonan, has one of those, and Pete Thorne did a fantastic demo on it a while ago, and he made it sound fantastic. But then again, give Pete Thorne a tennis racket and a and an elastic band, he'd make that sound fantastic as well. So I'm thinking about one of those, and I'm thinking about a couple of guitars. Well, I'll say no more than that. So we shall see what comes up. Anyway, excuse me, I need a bevy. It's New X. JT saying I'm awaiting the Plexi Binux. Yeah, I saw another Pete Thorne video where he was demoing the Amp Academy. And that is just like, the sounds he was getting out of that, and that would probably be more my kind of cup of tea, actually, because it's just amps. It's not like a million different modulations and backwards flanges and this kind of delay and that kind of delay and what have you. That if you're into that sort of stuff, fantastic. But it's just anything that has that sort of capability in it. I'm not really. I'm thinking I'm going to be paying for a load of stuff I'm not using. But then again, I've just bought the Positive Grid Spark, and Chip Young's saying the MG300 is on its way to me. Yeah, they are just ridiculous value. I was looking at one of those on Tourman earlier, 85 quid. I remember when the first ever Zoom unit came out. That's how old I am. The first ever Zoom guitar processor was the unique selling point of it was that you wore it on your guitar strap. Does anybody remember those? The idea was that you had a lead coming out of your guitar that went onto this thing on your guitar strap where you could fiddle with the effects, and of course nobody ever used it like that. It was always just kind of parked on top of the amp or somewhere, and then Zoom realized this and came out with a more conventional approach and having sort of floor-based kind of things. So it's when they first came out, they were, I think, gosh, this will be in the early 90s, so 30 years ago, gosh. And they were, I think, about 100 quid or thereabouts. And that was incredible value then. And you look at the sort of technology that we've got now, the sort of sounds you can get for the tone, the tones you can get for the money you have to pay out. It's ridiculous good value. What are you saying, Danny? Let's put you up on the screen. After the last Rhythm Wednesday vid, can I ask, am I right in thinking G major scale fits over D7, the 4-chord of A, and this is a mode? Yes. The thing with blues is that all of the chords are 7 chords, okay? So you don't play A, you play A7. You don't play D, you play D7. You don't play E, you play E7. So the way to think of the chords in a blues is to think of them all as 5 chords, chord 5 in the key. And that way you play like the G major scale over a D7 chord gives the sound of the Mixolydian mode. So over the A7 chord, you could play the D major scale, which would give the A Mixolydian mode, and so on, and generate kind of arpeggios and chordal ideas from that sort of viewpoint. And of course, throwing your minor pentatonic and blues scale stuff as well. That's the thing with blues; it doesn't fit into conventional, what you might call classical Western music theory kind of categories. it's sort of, it's in its own little universe in terms of theory. And yeah, you can build bridges between, like sort of the music theory that, Mozart would have used or thought about in terms of keys and the harmonic structure and stuff, and the blues universe, but they are separate and, distinct. Possibly, I think the best song which utilizes a mixture of blues ideas and conventional, kind of classical Western, music theory is I Feel Fine by the Beatles, because you've got that riff, that dum da 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 kind of riff, which is a blues riff. It's based on a dominant seventh chord, and it's based on kind of G7, C7, and D7. So it's kind of going around a blues kind of thing, playing dominant seventh chords, and then it goes into the verse where it's all kind of chords from the key of G major. You got 2 5-1s in there, and and all kind of stuff. And this is just music that was just intuitive to the Beatles. They were mixing blues and non-blues influences, not realizing, I think, how clever they were being, because no one was really doing that before them. Not to that extent, to that amount of success, anyway. Let's see what we've got going on in the chat here. Any tips for breaking out of the minor pentatonic? Generally, yes. The best thing you can do is, if I can just grab a guitar here and demonstrate. This is turning into a lesson. I've just been filming a video with this guitar. I will do the usual shot of Blondie in a moment. But let's say you're doing something in A minor. Okay, so you got an A minor chord. And then you might go to a D minor chord. Okay, so your A minor pentatonic is that, okay? But can you see that D minor chord has that note in it, okay? It's an F, but you don't even need to know that much, okay? So, just play your minor pentatonic. And then when you go to the D minor chord, start just kind of landing on that note. Look for notes that are in the chords that you're playing over, and start just branching out of the minor pentatonic to kind of land on those notes, and that will by default, excuse me, I'll just move the mic out the way, that will by default kind of you'll end up playing modes. You'll end up, that's how I did it, I was reading in Guitar Player magazine, that was the big one in the 80s, month after month, interviews with, whoever the latest shredder guy was, the flavor of the month, usually somebody with, a mullet haircut and, some pointy headstock, Ibanez, Jackson, Charvel, whatever, talking about, I use the this mode and the Mixolydian and this and Dory and that and Aeoli and the other all over the interview. Didn't have a clue what they were talking about. And then one month they actually tabbed out a solo that whoever this guy was, who'd been talking about this, they tabbed out the solo that he was talking about, and it was actually on that little kind of fold out kind of free giveaway record that came with the magazine each month. So I could hear it, I could look at the tab, and I could compare it to what this guy was talking about. And I thought, he's just using pentatonic shapes, and he's kind of adding notes in that are in the chords. I'm doing that anyway. And that was like suddenly, okay, right, I get it. So that for me was the light bulb moment. Just start adding notes in from the underlying chords. You don't even have to kind of go to the trouble of knowing the theory about what notes are in the chords or anything like that. Just visualize the chord shape of all of the chords that you're playing over, and see if any of the notes in that chord land outside of your pentatonic scale. Add them in, and it will get you out of that pentatonic box trap. Let's have we've got new comments. Let's have a look, see what's going on down here. What's that, SW? John, in music, we didn't exactly follow the rules over here. Well, fair enough, That's it. Okay, that raises a good point. Music theory is not a rule book. If you remember nothing else from the live stream tonight, and I probably won't because the beer is tasting rather fine this evening. If you remember nothing else, just remember that music theory is not a rule book. It's just a way of writing down and describing, what you're doing. And, let me put it this way, right? If no one had ever broken the rules and played music that didn't fit the accepted narrative, we would all be still listening to, Gregorian chant. Like that, just parallel fifths. But then somebody had the bright idea of, let's start putting thirds into the harmony, and and it went on from there. It's not about kind of you can do this and you can't do that. If the music that you're playing means that you need to play that really horrible dissonant sounding note, then play it. And there will be a music theory term that describes what you've done. Whether or not you know that textbook term is immaterial. It's just because there will be something that will describe what you've done. And then it just becomes a case of learning the jargon, really. Music theory ain't a rule book. I see someone in there, I think it was Edwin, was asking for the gratuitous shot of Blondie. Yes, here she is. Here she is. Look at that lovely top. Look at it moving in the light. Dan from Scott Guitars, mate, every time I pick this guitar up, I'm convinced you're a magician. You're an artist. What a beautiful guitar. Anyway, excuse me. I need some more. Yeah, Craig saying if you hit the wrong note, call it jazz. Sting. Maybe I've told you this anecdote before, but I read an interview with Sting years ago. And the thing is, the Police, they went from playing like sort of small venues like CBGBs and, kind of clubs basically and bars to playing stadiums, within a matter of months, that it was that meteoric for them. And Sting at the time was playing a fretless Fender Precision. And stepping out into a big stadium after kind of a few weeks earlier you were playing clubs. He said the nerves get to you, it's unavoidable. So, you're going to, especially on a fretless instrument, you're going to kind of hit the odd wrong note. Says that the trick was to play that same wrong note 4 bars later and keep a straight face, and then the audience just assume you mean it. My strategy has always been, hit a wrong note, just glare at the bass player, because the audience hears it's wrong and they think, oh, my God, that fella's getting the stink eye from his bandmates. It must be him that made the mistake. Let's see what we got. If you like theory, you should look at the Leonard Bernstein music lectures on YouTube. Yeah, I remember when they used to be on TV. There was one that sticks in my mind, particularly where he basically deconstructed Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are kind of rock guitar fans and kind of blues guitar fans, and some old guy in black and white talking about Beethoven. Yeah, that sounds riveting. It is. He's one of these people. Leonard Bernstein was one of these people that could read the phone book to you, and it would sound interesting. And I remember being like really, really little. I mean, primary school sort of age, and seeing these kind of things on TV. My memory might be wrong, but I think it was always on a Sunday at some point. Kind of round about last of the summer wine, that kind of part of the evening, just being fascinated by it. Howard Goodall's stuff is really good as well. If you get the chance, just go and check out Howard Goodall's Big Bangs on YouTube. It was on about 20 years ago on Channel 4 in the UK, but it's really, really interesting. I mean, just taking like ridiculously complicated subjects like the Pythagorean comma and equal temperament, and explaining it in a way that, I mean, my missus, she's not a musician, but she said, "Oh, I get that." She understood what the problem was, and she understood the solution that Bach came up with the system of equal temperament. Mark King said if he hits a wrong note, he just glares at the effects track. Yeah, I had a drunk fella last night at my gig who kept coming up and talked to me mid-song. That was my excuse for a wrong chord. He soon went off in the corner and passed out. Yeah, we've all had gigs like that. I remember there was one gig I played, and it was there's a housing estate in Sunderland, I think, called Downhill, and we were playing the Downhill Working Men's Club. And I don't know what happened when we were playing, but, and this is going back, 25 years. I don't know what happened when we were playing, but some altercations sprung out in the audience. And within the course of one song, it went from people kind of sat listening to the band having a drink to being like a scene from the Keystone Cops where there's just fists flying and glasses being thrown and everything. And we kind of think, well, if we stop playing, we won't get paid. So you just, the show must go on, kind of thing. And that was the end. That was in the first half, and the first set. And then, we kind of just hid in the dressing room in the interval, and we came back out again, and it was all calm. It was all great again, And it was just like that must have been a normal Saturday night occurrence in that particular venue. Anyway, let's see what's been going on in the chat again. Anybody been shouting me? I'm just having a look here. No, nobody's been particularly kind of shouting my name to get a response. Not that I can say anyway. Oh, Dave Pegg. Now there's a man who's played the working men's clubs. I hate bingo with a passion. Yes, that's it. It's like it's a religion in certain parts of the world in this neck of the woods. You go and play. You go and play gigs in a working men's club, and you'd better not make a noise when the bingo is on. You'd better not so much as tune your guitar in a way that they can hear it, because you get such evil stares from the audience. Are you sure it wasn't Bob's Country Bunker? Bob's Country Bunker was tame compared to some of the venues we used to play. I mean, I've told this story once before, but there's a club in Middlesbrough called the Acklam Garden City Club, or they used to be. I don't even know if it's still there. And when the agent booked you into that club, it was always on a Sunday, and you always got booked to do the noon and night, which meant you did a Sunday lunchtime gig, and then you basically did the same gig on the evening. Now, the Sunday lunchtime gig, you're playing with a stripper. It's like the band comes on, does a set, then the stripper comes on, does her bit, and then you come on and do the closing set. And you're sharing a dressing room with a stripper, and I was a young, impressionable boy at the time, and it's just like you don't know where to look. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, it's anyway. This one time, there'd been a mix-up with the agent, and there was no stripper, and all of the horny males in the audience somehow kind of got it into their heads that it was the band's fault that there was no stripper. So that on the bar there were all of these like little snacks, like kind of cheese cubes and pickled onions and that kind of thing for people to kind of munch on while they're watching the naked flesh and having a beer. And amongst these snacks were little mini Yorkshire puddings and a jug of gravy, so you could just kind of fill the Yorkshire pudding with gravy and have a snack. And we were up there. This song will give you the kind of an idea of the date of it. We were up there giving it, "I am the one and only," the Chesney Hawkes tune, and we're dodging these missiles, these Yorkshire puddings full of gravy that are hitting the amplifiers and hitting us in the head and stuff like that. You got to keep playing because you don't get paid if you don't. And then that was in the first half. We just hid in the dressing room during the interval, and then we came back out, and there was, I promise you this is true, there was one bloke in the audience. Everybody else had just gone. The room had cleared out. And there's one bloke, little old fellow with his tin of tobacco and his bottle of Newcastle Brown, topping up a half-pint glass. And, and he has a dog asleep at his feet, a whippet. And, okay, well, we got to play because we don't get paid otherwise. So we come back out and it said, "Shot through the heart and you're to blame." Anyway, he promptly goes off into the foyer to play on the slot machine and leaves the dog there. And we play that entire the second set to the dog that remained asleep throughout. And that is probably the most, well... The worst gig I've ever played. It sticks in my memory. That was in about 1992, about 30 years ago, and dear me, that memory will go with me to my grave. Oh dear me, that's tasting rather fine tonight. Acklam Iron and Steel Club is there, I think. Still there, says Dash Shaft. Did Dan mail you the guitar he's pulled the trigger on? Yes, the artist Les Paul copy. It looks rather good. I'm really impressed with those artist guitars. The twin humbucker Telecaster that Colin loaned me a few weeks ago. The only problem with that guitar I found was the pickups. I remember in one video I said the weird thing about Telecasters is you can put whatever pickups you want in them, and they always end up sounding like Telecasters. As long as it's got a Telecaster shape, it will inevitably sound like a Telecaster. Well, and then a couple of weeks later, I did that video with Colin's twin humbucker Telly, the artist one, and it just I couldn't get a Telecaster sound out of it. It was a lovely sounding guitar, but the pickups just it just sounded a bit bullish. I think that's what they call them, bullbuckers, don't they, on those guitars? Lovely guitar, and I'm definitely thinking about grabbing one at some point, but they're always out of stock. Yeah, it was an odd guitar that I was always in two minds about it. I liked the way it played, I liked the way it felt, and I liked the way it sounded. It just didn't because I couldn't get the Telecaster kind of tone out of it. It was a bit of an oddity, I think. Speaking of oddities, I've got a video coming up, one of the top 5 Tuesday guitar videos that's coming up in a few weeks' time about oddball guitars. You don't want to miss that. There's some real kind of things in there. You know, when you think, what were they thinking when they designed this? What's that, Craig? I played in a thrash metal band years ago, and we played a gig in a posh pub where everyone was in suits and gowns. Safe to say we went down like a lead balloon. Yep, I had that. You know, there was a club in Darlington somewhere. I think it was something Rolling Mills Club. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, this was some gig where the audience they'd all bought tickets to be there because they thought they were going to see a particular show. It was like Magic of the Musicals or something like that. They were expecting, kind of like Lloyd Webber and Sondheim and all that sort of stuff. And that's what they were turning up to see. And we turn up and we start playing Bon Jovi. It was not a pleasant experience that evening, but yeah, I saw that, Dave. Trogley bought a black Gibson with telly pickups in it. Yeah, that Gibson mod shop. And it's, I keep meaning to go and have a look at that, but I just know it's like the prices are going to be, if Trogley can afford it, it usually means I can't, basically. He's got to have some serious wedge, that lad, hasn't he? For the amount of cash he spends on guitars, and good luck to him. Have you seen Steve Vai's latest creation, the Hydra? I haven't, actually. I haven't. I do remember there was like, he basically updated the gem, didn't he? It was a couple of years ago now, where basically all he did was he changed the monkey grip a little bit to more like a teardrop shape. I don't know if that's the guitar you're talking about, but no, I shall have to keep an eye open for that. Let's have a look, see what's in the chat. Yeah, Michael Purcell talking about clubs. Yes, it was a series called the Peter Kay thing. It was actually called Phoenix Nights. But yes, I love that show simply because it reminded me so much of my experience playing on that club circuit. What's that, Deco dude? I heard something today. Vintage picks, old picks fetch money. Well, the only thing that I find surprising about that is that it's taken this long for that to happen. Oh, Chris Otterwell's off. Have a good week. Have a great weekend, mate. And it's people will just memorabilia. People will pay silly money for it. It's like, when something becomes like, kind of cool, people will just pay money for it. Maidman saying, I saw Bryan Adams' tribute act. The guitarist had a Jackson Randy Rhoads. It just didn't fit the music. Yeah, I saw Queen tribute act, oh gosh, back in the 90s at some point. And, they'd gone to so much trouble to kind of, and they sounded great. They sounded like the real thing. They really did. And I wish I could remember what they're called. Like the singer looked like Freddie. They all just looked the part. The guitarist was Brian and everything. The one thing that they got wrong was that the guitar player was playing a Strat. Nothing wrong with a Strat, but this was the 90s. There were commercially available Brian May style guitars. I think it'd probably mean the Guild one that was available at the time. If you're going to go to those kind of pains to kind of get the look right, as well as getting the sound right, then go the extra mile and get the right guitar. What's that, Dave? Trogley Bolton Old School, it's massive, including an indoor basketball court. Well, good for him. Billy Paul's off to restring his telly. Anyway, it's currently 59 minutes and 49 seconds into the stream. And, well, that means it's approaching 6 o'clock, and I've got a curry turning up sometime around 10 past. So I've got to love you and leave you guys. Thank you once again, 178 of you, all for turning up and watching a fat, bald northern lad talk crap for an hour. I'm incredibly grateful that you all turn up here on a Friday to hear my stream of consciousness and thoughts and words of dubious wisdom. And I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. But for now, once again, everyone, time, gentlemen, please. I'll see you all in the next one.